This isn't just any toolkit. Every piece here has been hand-picked, tested, and proven in real-world repairs as a professional mechanic. Over the years, I've cycled through countless tools, refining my choices to what you see here today, the keepers. These are the tools that consistently make my work easier, faster, and more reliable. Of course, no toolkit is ever truly complete. As better tools emerge and bike tech evolves, so will my setup. But for now, let's dive into the gear that's earned its spot in my kit. Let's start by talking about the toolbox itself. This is the B&W International Jet 5000. B&W International is an OEM maker for a bunch of other companies that basically buy these from them, put their brand on them, and charge about 4 to 5 times what they're actually worth. I got this one at Walmart of all places, but you can really find it at a number of distributors in the US. They make a range of options. They all kind of have the same outer box, but it's the interior organization that changes. It has one flaw that I had to fix with a big thing of Velcro, which you'll see when we open this up. But for the most part, it's really good. If they could fix that one flaw on this, it would be pretty much perfect, but now we'll dive in. Open her up. And you'll see here, this is that flaw I was talking about. Sometimes it gets hooked there, and I got to put this piece of Velcro here so that it stays in place and lifts this up for me. Otherwise, this one here just drops to the bottom, and I can't get into all my tools there easily, and it's harder to grab everything. So I put this on there to make it easier for myself. So starting from the beginning, you want a toolbox that you can easily work in and out of. If you're going to be dropping this off at a bench somewhere, if you're going to be traveling, if you're going to be working at home and you don't want to have all of your tools on the wall, which is a great way to have things all on the wall, but really if you're going to be taking it anywhere, you want to have a box that's really organized. The way I've got this set up is that you can grab anything you want, put it back in real easily, and that makes it set up in a way where you can work right out of this if it's facing me. I know exactly where each tool is, and I know how to put it back in and put it right where it goes. That way, I'm never losing my tools all over the place. So you will find that a lot of times you're just gonna take out a favorite set of tools, throw them on the bench when you're working, and then put them back at the end. It's totally fine. I like to try to keep mine organized when they are out of the toolbox. So I'll lay out a certain set of tools in order, then I'm grabbing them, and I'm kind of acting as if they were on a tool wall. Going back to organization, kind of the way this works, this mid-level here, that's got my main tools, my main hex keys, the things I use most often. In the bottom, mainly stuff that's a little less used. And up here we got some drivers, torque wrench. On the other side, some cutters, pliers, lube. When you're building up your toolkit, one thing that's good to start with is adjustable multi-use tools. A good example of that would be some Knipex pliers like this. Actually, they're called the Knipex pliers wrench. Good thing about these is that you can cover an entire set of box wrenches and replace it with this instead of carrying all those with you. It's really gonna do the job much better than some box wrenches because it's actually gonna grip onto the fastener as you use it. One of my favorite tools, you'll find these in multiple sizes in most pro toolkits. I like to have 3 sizes. If you can only get one, I would probably recommend the 180 millimeter length. That's gonna cover most things for you. I do love these little guys here. These are the 125s. These gonna do a lot of things. Use these on the little bolts that are on a brake hose line. These are really nice for that. And they just get into a lot of places where you want something small and easy to use. These are the big boys. These are the 250s. Not really necessary for the average home mechanic, but they do come in handy around the house if you want to have them. They have a lot of uses that you can get out of these since it's such a big range, all the way up to a 52 millimeter bolt there. There are situations where these come in handy. There are some headsets, some old school headsets that use this type of adjustment, a pretty big one that you need. So I like having that in the box, and that just lives in the bottom of the box where it's less used. Up top, I've got some of my smaller size wrenches, as well as some various other things. So let's start going through these here. So starting with the most important thing probably in my toolkit, that is gonna be a adjustable torque wrench. This right here is the Pedro's Demi Torque 2. This thing that I like about this model here, really quick to adjust. Some of them, and you wanna be careful about this, There are some great torque wrenches, but some of them take way too long to adjust from one side to the other. I almost know the exact amount I need to go to spin it to go from 3 to 9 at this point, or go from 6.2 to 3. Makes it nice to have something that you can quickly adjust if you're doing it all day. Not doing it professionally, not doing it all day. There are a number of other great options. I just find this is a really nice little torque wrench to carry around with you. Quick tip on torque wrenches: always store them at the lowest marked value. If you haven't used your torque wrench in a while, make sure to exercise it by moving the head. If it's a click type like this, that's going to make sure that it's going to function properly. If you go to use it the first time, it's actually not going to break free if it hasn't been used in a while. So make sure you do that. Torque wrenches are crucial for today's bikes with carbon components and specific tolerances. Really, like a subtle crack in a handlebar or a loose headset, it can be deadly. So it's important to invest in a quality torque wrench. I'd say this is really the first thing I would buy right after getting yourself a basic set of L keys. If you are building up a kit, it's just as important. They basically go hand in hand. You shouldn't be touching a carbon component without having a torque wrench available, unless you really know what you're doing. Even then, it's been proven that a lot of pro mechanics blow past what they think the torque is they're doing anyways, so might as well get one of these. They're expensive, but it's an investment. Got to keep it calibrated, get it calibrated every year. If you buy one from Home Depot, you can basically just turn it in every year and get a new one that'll be freshly calibrated. Those aren't quite as good quality, but they will do the job if you don't want to spend the money on a professional level one here. Other option that I like to carry around, it's going to be one of these presets. So these right here, this is just one that I actually came with an MV bike that I got. This one's preset to 5.5 Newton meters. So that's a really common value for your typical handlebar, stem, faceplates. A lot of them are between 5 and 7. So a 5.5 is really going to cover a lot of that. Great thing about presets is that you don't have to be constantly adjusting, and I know that I can grab this and use it to do a lot of things that I'm going to be doing anyways. When setting up a home bench, I like to have a 4, 5, and 6 with the most common bits in those loaded. I can just grab those quickly, I don't have to adjust anything. And then I've got exactly the torque value I need without having to spend time adjusting the wrench. I always have a nice set of bits with different lengths to them. Quick interlude about bits. There are a lot of different brands of bits you can get, from the cheap ones that come with some lower priced toolkits, all the way up to super expensive specialty bits that are gonna be handmade in Switzerland or Japan. I don't know why I said handmade, they're not handmade, they're usually made by machines. It may seem tempting to cheap out on your bits, but the reality is these are the things that are gonna go in and out of fasteners all day when you're working on bikes. And a cheap set of bits is really going to ruin your fasteners, ruin your experience as a mechanic, and just not really save you in the long run. I got some favorites for bits. Unfortunately, they're pretty expensive. PB Swiss is really what does the best for me. There are a number of high quality bits made from a few manufacturers. I have found that these PB Swiss tools ones tend to fit best in most bike fasteners, and they're the most likely to not round out your fasteners and work really well for you. They also last a long time. They got these great chamfered edges for easy entry and exit when you're putting them in a fastener. They have a really tight tolerance in most fasteners, so you're gonna get good grip and not strip your fasteners. For hex keys, I do like the PB Swiss ones. However, when we're talking Torx, I do tend to go with the Vera or Wera ones, depending on if you speak German. These tend to have a great fit in most Torx fasteners. They do have this little bit of a ramped angle here, which tends to bite in pretty well, unlike some cheaper ones I've used that just tend to slip. Honestly, I hate Torx fasteners. I don't know why they're all over bikes. I'm looking at used SRAM. If I do have to use Torx, which is quite often, it's going to be one of these Veras. I do have some PB Swiss Torx drivers. However, I find that they're a little bit too precise and a little oversized for some fasteners used on bikes. Biggest problem I've had with the PB Swiss ones is fitting into Zips stem faceplate bolts. That's why I stick to the Wera bit. It's good to have kind of a range of bits of different sizes. You never know when you might need something. I just kind of keep this loaded up with some different things. Got a couple extras, short size, long size. I also have a whole nother set of bits that I keep in my box for various other things, but this is a quick little overview. I also carry in a little extra toolkit here. So in here, I've got some nice long ones. So those add some reach, give you some different options there as well. This is nice to have with some extra bolts, some extra parts. What do I got in here? I've got a little crow's foot. This is what you use to apply torque to a brake hose when you are shortening those. Moving on to the tools that I use all day, that's going to be my mini ratchets, which have 2 ends to them. These right here are the Presticycle something or other. What I love about this, you can turn it into a T-handle like I've got here. You can also use it as an extended ratchet this way. It's got a ratcheting head over here. What I do is I actually have the same bit on both sides. I've got a little extended PB Swiss on here and a little short one there. Means I can get nice leverage going this way. If I want to use more precise, I can do with the T-handle here. And then I can also pull that out, throw a bit in here. This becomes a little mini ratchet, which is great for getting into tight spots as well. You can also extend the end here and get a lot of leverage if you need it, which is nice if you're not carrying around a really big wrench with you. So these are a great size for an all-day tool. It's comfortable to use, surprisingly, given the size. I tend to like it more than a typical elf key just because of the versatility and the amount of times that I'm ratcheting. A ratchet makes things easier and less work on my hands. Your hands get tired working on bikes all day. I have mine set up. I carry 3 right now. I'm thinking about getting a 4th one of these, but the way I have these set up, I got a T25 on one. I got a 4mm hex and a 5mm hex. Those are the things I use most of the time in this sort of size. So that's why I've always got them there ready to go. We're talking for bigger bolts, got a 6mm, got an 8mm. 8mm, we're talking crankset bolts. Sometimes you can get a SRAM dub crankset bolt out with this, but a lot of times you're gonna need even more than that. I do like having this one. These are the Park Tool THH8. That's the THH6. These come in a really nice set. These are a really high quality tool. This is actually the only thing from Park Tool that I particularly like. I find most of their tools to be of a lower quality. They're fine if you're using them not professionally, but this one is made in Taiwan and these are actually a really high quality set. So for a T-handle, this set is one of my favorites. All right, moving on. So you'll see a lot of these at most shops. They're usually gonna be the Park Tool version. These are the Weehaw version. It's basically an L key with a ball end. So these are sometimes referred to as a P handle. What they've got is a ball end on one side and they got a regular on the other. So this is your one for torquing and removing, and this is for getting into small spaces. I have these in my box in a 4, 5, and 6 size. It's kind of for random jobs where I know that I want the little bit of extra versatility there of the ball head, but I want a little bit more comfortable grip or I need a little bit of length. They're kind of just in there. I don't use them all the time. A lot of people do prefer to use P handles all the time. I'm just not one of those people. Other things we got in here, a couple of screwdrivers. I got a Phillips 2. Need that for a lot of stuff. This is a Wera brand. Wera makes really comfortable ergonomic handles. They always also have really nice Phillips heads there, machined in a way that just gives you a little nice precision there. Also have this is actually an adjustable bit driver from them. So that's gonna have a little handle there. It's not ratcheting, it just adjusts for whatever you put in it. So I can put any of my bits in there. Feedback Sports, I got a nice little tiny flathead here. This is also a nice little backup for Shimano crank caps there. I have one of those in my other kit as well, but it's nice to have that. Those things go missing and they're kind of stupid, so it's nice to have those. Got to have a good quality pair of cable cutters. Knipex makes some of the best. Again, high quality Knipex tools. These things last a lifetime. These are locking and they do a really good job. Park Tool has a great one actually. This is also a tool that I wouldn't have a problem with using the Park Tool version. Little stubbies. These are PB Swiss. Nice thing about these guys, they have a little stubby angled head. There are times where you're going to want to get into little parts that you just can't reach because bicycles are sometimes designed really dumb. So this gives you a way to get into them. Typical use for one of these, there's lots of times where I'm going to use this on brake caliper bolts, hydraulic disc brake caliper bolts. There's times where there just isn't clearance and you need to torque that thing using do not use a ball end. That's fine for roughly getting into place, but do not torque it with that. You will strip the bolt. So get yourself a set of these. A lot of companies make those. PB Swiss, again, high quality. That's why I use these. Sticking to the Knipex theme here, some Knipex needle nose. Need needle nose for lots of things. Obviously, grabbing little things, pulling them out. just some flush cutters. So some people call these zip tie cutters. These are mainly for cutting zip ties nice and flush on a bike. That's pretty much all I use them for. We've also got ourselves a little 3mm hex and a little 2mm hex. These I'm commonly using for adjusting derailleur limit settings. They're nice and comfortable for that. So these are a PB Swiss tool here. They've got a nice comfortable handle. They make sure that you don't over torque those small bolts, those small 2, 3s, 2.5s, things like that. I got a set of 3 of those. We got our 2mm, 2.5, 3mm. This is a little Feedback Sports tuning fork. I do not suggest using your hands to bend a rotor, the disc rotor that's bent. You're just gonna get oils all over that and it's gonna make it squeal and it's gonna be terrible. So get yourself one of these. That's gonna help a lot with that. Other things we got in here, zip ties. Always need zip ties. Put a set of those in there, can fix some problems. Get yourself some good scissors. These are a pretty high quality set from Heritage. You're gonna see these in a lot of pro kits there. They can give you a nice clean cut. I will say though, sometimes I like a longer scissors when you are doing handlebar tape, but these get the job done for a portable kit. Got a little Park Tool MLP. This is your multi-link, quick link pliers. Carrying a big thing of lube around in a toolkit, it's not gonna be fun. So what I like to use is the beautiful Radar Laboratories lube tubes. Be careful when you search for lube tube on the internet. These things are great though. They give you a nice applicator for putting your grease on. I carry 2 of these around. One's got fiber grip for carbon components. It's got a nice big brush on it. That's usually going into that seat tube before I throw a seat post in there. And the other one has got just standard grease in it. These are little 3D printed parts I put on here. These basically make these a lot more portable. Comes with parts that are a little bigger, less portable. You can get them for free if you print them yourself, if you've got a 3D printer. They also have a nice little lock on here, which is great for travel, which keeps this from getting pushed and pushing stuff out, and then you cap it like that. Always got to have a pick. Really like a set of picks is gonna get you out of a lot of messes, but having this here with a 2-sided pick from Feedback Sports, got a little grabby one and a straight pick, that'll really help in most situations, but keep in mind you may need more picks for more involved, tricky tasks. A really stupidly priced titanium hammer from Abbey Tools. This is the first of a couple Abbey Tools we're gonna look at here. It's nice to have a hammer with you, but I don't want to carry a full-size hammer. This can do a lot of little tasks that you might use when you're out and about and you don't want to carry a big ass hammer with you. Let's keep it with the Abbey Tools theme. This is the HAG, or the hanger alignment gauge. This is a beautiful hanger alignment tool for derailleur hangers. I will say not everyone needs this. The Park Tool version has gotten pretty good. The newest versions of it make it a lot easier to use. This one's just a lot more enjoyable to use if you're using it all day. I know that the tolerances are really tight on this, so I'm getting a really good alignment when I'm using something like that. Here's a fun one. Alligator forceps. All right, there are times where you just cannot reach something, a little cable, doing some cable routing. This little guy can get in there and grab things out of a stupidly designed tube that just doesn't have access in the right places. Those are great. They're like 15 bucks from a medical supply store. I don't know what I'm saying. This is an Abbey Tools chain breaker. This thing is just glorious. Spinning this is way more fun than it should be. It's just a beautiful tool. This thing's gonna last forever. Again, really expensive, but feels worth it to me because I know that this thing's gonna work every time I use it. Comes with some storage for some extra pins in the back. I will say they have multiple plates here for various speeds. If you do work on a lot of 9-speed stuff, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt because you'd have to swap out the plate here. I have even ridden 10, 11, 12 speed on this one. I rarely work on 9-speed stuff, so not that big a deal, and I have the other pin in my box if I need it. Good tape measure. Tape measures are always useful. This is the Starrett Exact 12-footer. I like ones like this that are going to have both metric and freedom units on it. Go watch that Washington's Dream video if you haven't seen it. I'll link to it because it's just so funny, from SNL. Another lifetime Abbey Tools tool. This is the Crombie wrench. This is for pulling off cassettes, also for installing disc brakes with center lock on them. So a couple things there. Also installing your cassettes as well. And your chain whip. Beautiful chain whip, works really well, works on all speeds. This little combo, you know, this is one of those overkill things, but for a professional mechanic, it feels really nice to have, and it's great to use all the time. Spare 2032 battery. Good to have those. Big old pedal wrench. It's got a nice wood handle. I wouldn't buy this. It just came with a kit that I had already bought. You can get by with a lot of different pedal wrenches, to be honest, but this thing is really nice. Another Lifetime Abbey tool, and it's got both your hex keys for that style pedal. You got both on there, an 8 and a 6, as well as your 15 mil box wrench on one end. Let's keep digging. Always have some nice lube in there. This is a good chain lube. This is Silka Synergetic. This is my favorite for an oil-based lube. Wax-based lubes are really nice these days. They do a great job. They usually run a little cleaner. But if you use this stuff and keep your chain really clean, your chain's gonna last forever. This also works, putting a little dab of this inside of a valve core when you're doing a new tubeless setup. It's really going to save you from getting that gunked up, so little tip there. Pedro's tire irons. These ones say Smith on them because I got them for free from Smith booth once. But I carry a couple of those in there. Great for spreading pistons as well, and they can be used as tire irons for getting a tire off. 3 backup sets of L-key type tools. I have a set of Vera L-keys. For a lot of people, this is the first tool they buy. This is a pretty good option if you don't want to spend all the money on the PB Swiss ones. These Vera ones are going to be really good quality for you. In general, they fit really well. They can strip some bolts if they're not quite sized, but just be careful with what you're doing there. The PB Swiss ones are going to be the most accurate, but they also cost about 3 times as much, maybe 2 times as much. I'll have to look that up. So I got those, and we have a full set of Torx keys here. Sometimes I need a funky size of Torx that I'm not using all the time, so I carry a full set of there. Finally, here we've got a shorty set of PB Swiss L keys. Sometimes I just need a nice L key, a little bit smaller one here. All right, y'all, well, that was a big old disjointed look into my toolkit. So now I'm gonna share my secret weapon. Bam, this thing right here, all right? This is a Vessel electric bit driver. Pretty fun, right? All right, so what this does, this saves me from having to turn bolts all day. When I am doing stem face plates, very on handlebars, there are a couple things where it's just a repetitive movement. You're doing it all day, taking things on, putting them off. Your hands get tired, your hands get stressed, you develop arthritis, carpal tunnel, all that stuff. So best thing you do, get yourself an electric bit driver. This right here goes in, goes out. It's got a little light on it. It's got 3 speeds. A really nice feature of this, particularly when working on bikes. It's gonna max out at 2 Newton meters when you're using the electric drive. By hand, it can get up to 10 Newton meters. The nice thing about that 2 Newton meters is that's gonna be well below something that would crack a carbon handlebar. So you're good there to use that on those stem face plates when you're swapping out stems, things like that. The more you use something like this, the better your hands are gonna feel and the more efficient you can be. You can take a lot less time putting stem bolts on and off using something like this as opposed to turning them manually. Well, that was a look into my toolbox. Hope that was helpful. Please ask questions. I know that was a little disjointed, but went over a lot of tools there, a lot of things that I use on a daily basis when I'm at the shop. Otherwise, this goes in my truck. Bring it to me when I go camping, when I go riding somewhere else. I pretty much can do anything with this kit other than bleed brakes. If I need to bleed brakes, got separate toolkits for those I bring, and those are with me when I need them. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.